My name's Rhonda Livingston, and I'm the National Education Leader at the Australian Children's Education and Care Quality Authority, ACEQA, in Australia. The authority was established to support Australian education and care services and regulators and increase community awareness of quality education and care. Throughout this presentation, I will be sharing with you Australia's national policy perspective and its impact on quality and improved outcomes in education and care services. In line with our approach to quality education and care, which includes a commitment to actively value Australia's Indigenous cultures, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this presentation was developed and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people watching this presentation. Children aged birth to 12 years attend various service types in Australia, including long day care centres, family daycare schemes, kindergarten and preschools, and outside school hours care services. To add further complexity to this picture, services are run under an assortment of different internal governance arrangements and funding arrangements. As you can see from this graph, almost half of the services are provided by the for-profit sector. Australia's formal name is the Commonwealth of Australia, and it has a complex system of government. Australia is a federation and has 8 sovereign parliaments. The schooling system is the responsibility of the state and territory governments, with some funding contributed by the Commonwealth Government. Early childhood education and care was not formally recognised in the 1901 Constitution. The first Commonwealth Act addressing childcare for children from birth was implemented in the early 1970s. This led to a complex structure evolving in the education and care policy space, where roles and consistent service delivery was fragmented over the years. In the early 2000s, the importance of early childhood education and care was a focus of attention for governments across Australia, largely influenced by the release of the OECD Starting Strong 2 report. Brain research identifying the early years as a critical time in a child's brain development, and economic research clearly identifying the benefits and potential savings from investing in early childhood education were also influential. As a result, in December 2009, the Council of Australian Governments, known as COAG, set a national quality agenda. They entered into a landmark national partnership agreement to drive higher quality education and care across the country. The new agenda led to the introduction of a national law and regulations. It also included a national quality standard, approved learning frameworks, and an assessment and rating process. Collectively, these compose the National Quality Framework, which aims to raise quality and drive continuous improvement and consistency in education and care services. These reforms have been driven through a strong commitment to community engagement, working collaboratively with families, communities and key stakeholders, as well as transparency and a focus on continual quality improvement. The guiding principles of the National Quality Framework are that the rights and best interests of the child are paramount, children are successful, competent and capable learners, the principles of equity, inclusion and diversity underpin this law, Australia's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures are valued, the role of parents and families is respected and supported, and best practice is expected in the provision of education and care services. A national authority was established to support the implementation of the National Quality Framework. The Australian Education and Care Quality Authority, ASEQA, works with state and territory regulatory authorities to undertake this role. While states and territories are responsible for assessing and rating services and issuing approvals, ASEQA's roles include promoting continuous quality improvement and the value of quality education and care, assessing and approving educational qualifications and training programs, providing training, testing and resources to state and territory regulatory authority authorised officers, hosting the National Quality Agenda Information Technology System, NQF ITS. This is the online business tool for the sector and regulatory authorities. The NQF ITS is also a rich source of national assessment and rating data. Maintaining national registers of approved providers and services, including their quality rating. Publishing quarterly snapshots of NQF national data and trends. Communicating to families through Starting Blocks, ASEQA's family-focused website. Administering applications for second-tier review, and assessing applications for the Excellent rating. There are currently 52 services awarded the Excellent rating by ASEQA. From the government's commitment to quality education and care, the National Quality Framework was developed to set the context in which education and care services are to be operated across Australia, and this has been implemented in over 15,500 services. The implementation and development of the National Quality Framework was informed by national and international research, along with comprehensive community consultation. A weight of research confirmed broad improvement in child outcomes when children participate in high-quality education and care services that are reflective of the families using the service and the community in which the service is located. Mandated national curriculum frameworks were introduced for the first time. The frameworks assist educators in partnership with the children, their families and the community to provide children with opportunities to maximise their potential and develop a foundation for future success in life. The Belonging, Being, Becoming Early Years Learning Framework for Australia guides educators with principles, practices and learning outcomes for children aged birth to 5 years. And the My Time, Our Place framework for school-age care in Australia provides similar tools contextualised for children aged 5 to 12 years. The new system introduced a combined approach to quality assurance and compliance with legislative requirements, including a new national quality standard that services would be assessed and rated against. The National Quality Standard adopts an outcomes-focused approach and is a schedule to the regulations that provide a national benchmark for quality. The standard promotes stronger engagement with families and communities as an underpinning driver of continual quality improvement. The National Quality Standard has 7 quality areas that include 15 standards and 40 elements to inform and measure quality. A key component of Australia's National Quality Framework for Education and Care is the National Quality Rating System. The Commonwealth, state and territory governments have worked together to ensure that services are regularly assessed and rated against the National Quality Standard. Trained and experienced assessors employed by the relevant state or territory government visit services for 1 or more days and use a combination of techniques to gather evidence. They observe practice, cite documentation, and conduct discussions with educators to provide services with an accurate quality rating, taking into account both the National Quality Standard and the underpinning regulatory standards. This rating acts as a guide for services in their quality improvement efforts, provides information for families about the quality of their child's service, and provides policymakers with data about the growing quality of services across the country. There are 5 possible ratings for services under the NQF. These include significant improvement required, working towards National Quality Standard, meeting National Quality Standard, exceeding National Quality Standard, and excellent. The highest rating, excellent, is awarded by a CEQA using 3 criteria to distinguish outstanding programs and practices. The first 6 years has seen many changes in the Australian education and care sector. For example, there has been an increase in the number of approved services. Since 2012, service numbers have increased by 21% in 5 years. Quality improvement has been evident in the data gained from the assessment and rating of services against the National Quality Standard. In 2013, 59% of services were rated as meeting or exceeding the National Quality Standard. By the end of 2017, this percentage had risen to 77%, supporting improved outcomes for children. Overall support for the NQF among providers of education and care services has remained consistently above 95%. As mentioned earlier, the NQF includes the opportunity to apply for an additional excellent rating for services that have been rated as exceeding National Quality Standard in their mandatory assessment and rating. Of the 52 services currently holding the prestigious excellent rating, approximately 34% are located in areas that have been identified as the most social and economically disadvantaged on a 5-point scale. The statistics demonstrate that social and economic disadvantage are not necessarily barriers to achieving the highest quality practice, and creativity and innovation is recognised and rewarded. In addition, all governments have worked collaboratively to increase preschool participation rates in programs led by qualified early childhood teachers for children in the year prior to school. In 2017, 95% of the 339,000 4 to 5-year-old children enrolled in a preschool program attended the program for at least 15 hours per week. While the data shows many examples of improvement in the education and care sector, there are still a number of challenges to negotiate. However, those challenges also present many opportunities. A well-qualified, professional and highly regarded workforce is what we are striving for in Australia. Challenges remain, particularly in rural and remote areas of the country, to attract and retain suitably qualified educators and service leaders. Low wages, industrial conditions, and the status in the community for these educators contribute to these challenges. The National Quality Framework seeks to enhance professionalism in the sector by setting a minimum qualification for educators in education and care services. There has also been the introduction of a requirement for university-trained early childhood teachers in all long-day care and preschool services. As part of the shift to professionalising the sector, we are focusing on shifting perceptions from childcare to learning and development, and further embedding early childhood education and care on the education continuum. When considering the land size of Australia, another challenge is access and support for services in remote and very remote communities. The challenges for these services are many. As mentioned previously, the difficulties involved in attracting and retaining suitably qualified staff may be one of the reasons services in these areas generally have received a lower rating than services in metropolitan areas. Keeping the balance between the cost of quality and affordability can be perceived as a challenge by some providers. Quality early childhood education and care is critically important, particularly for children in disadvantaged and vulnerable circumstances. It can also be a challenge to ensure these children have access to services within their community. While services have made significant progress in engaging with their families and communities, with more than 90% meeting or exceeding this quality area of the National Quality Standard, we still have work to do. For example, more than a quarter of family daycare services are not yet meeting these requirements, and we know there is work to be done in building collaborative, respectful partnerships with the schooling community. ASIQA's strategic and forward plans include strategies to progress this work. The National Partnership Agreement comes to an end this year. While governments remain committed to the National Quality Framework, the Commonwealth Government has not committed funds to the states and territories in this budget, instead committing funding to ASIQA for the next 2 years. I'd like to thank you for your time today and hope this presentation showcasing Australia's journey to improving quality in education and care services has provided some ideas and strategies to consider in your deliberations and discussions. I imagine the challenges faced by Australia would be similar to those faced by many other countries, including the United States of America. We would be keen to learn about effective policies and programs implemented to address similar issues in your communities. Links on the screen are to ASIQA's main website and some of the resources and supports we provide to services, families and communities. ASIQA's strategic plan is also available on the website. I wish you well in your deliberations and discussions.